So you refer to it as high-ticket e-commerce, but in other words, high-ticket dropshipping.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit about your entry into that? Because I believe you did start a few stores initially, didn't see any immediate success, but then pivoted and were able to find your groove and ultimately did, I think you said between $4.7 to maybe $5.25 million in sales in your first 16 months, which is an incredible amount of revenue to do in such a short time frame. So could you speak a little bit on that journey and how you were able to do that?
Yeah, so I actually got started with low ticket. So pretty much like a lot of people do. The first stores I ever launched were these low ticket stores selling things like pet carriers or lava lamps or just like these low ticket Chinese products. And I launched a few stores, like watches, like products like this. I think I launched around 10 stores very quickly and they all failed. I don't think they failed because low ticket doesn't work. I'm sure it works for some people, but I just had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. So then I heard a podcast about high ticket. So I thought, oh, that sounds different. That makes more sense. Did some research. And then I eventually started my first store. It was just like a very broad, my idea was modern furniture when I first started my high ticket store. I was getting really bad suppliers. The shipping wasn't working. So I thought like, what's somewhat like modern furniture that I can like pivot to without starting a new store from scratch? So then I thought, okay, modern furniture, why don't we try saunas or massage chairs? These are like sort of furniture that would fit on my store. So then I started reaching out to those suppliers, closed some really good suppliers, and then sales started rolling in very quickly. So I think my first sale was October 21st, 2021 for over $14,000. And then the next 39 days after that very first sale, it was like $177,000. And then in the first, like you said, 16 months was about 4.7 million. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, very, very well. And it took off very quickly. And actually the very first supplier that I made a sale with ended up being my best supplier that ended up doing over $2 million with just that supplier. So might call it luck, right place, right time. But things just kind of took off for me from that point forward.
For sure. And I think many people start in the same place that you did with low ticket dropshipping. Yeah. It's typically much more spoken about, I would say, with regards to YouTube and social media. And I come from the same place as you. I can't say it doesn't work. I've just not ever personally gone down that route and tried it successfully, or managed to do it successfully rather. But what's interesting, and what I think is a bit of a misconception, is that you don't have to dropship products from China. What's funny, and what you know as well as me, is there are a lot of manufacturers and suppliers in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Europe, who are actually not only open to dropshipping, but actively pushing this model. Yeah. And you said it yourself, it allows the suppliers and the manufacturers to concentrate on what they do best, which is building a product and building a brand. Not everyone that goes into brand building is prepared to be a marketer. They're not, maybe don't have the skill set to do that. So it's better that they can focus on what they do best and allow authorized resellers or retailers like yourself or like you were in that particular instance where you're selling products on behalf of another brand. Now, those products most of the time are actually coming from China anyway, but the supplier is shipping them in, essentially stocking them and then able to distribute them for you. So I think that's one thing that's really worth highlighting is it's the same model. The products are pretty much coming from the same place, but you're actually just working with local businesses. Would you say that's one of the key differences?
Yeah, I think the most important difference is the fact you get to leverage their brand name. So like you said, it's coming from China no matter what. But for example, if you're selling shoes and you were going to drop ship your own shoes from China, but then imagine like you're trying to drop ship your own shoes, it's probably going to be very hard. But then let's say you get to drop ship Nike shoes. It's going to be a lot easier selling Nike shoes than these no-name shoes. So like when you work with these manufacturers and brands located in the US, these brands, like I've had suppliers been around for 50 years. So customers will know the supplier, they'll trust the supplier. There'll be like thousands of people searching for that supplier every single month. So then all we have to do, as you know with Google, you can just put your products that you're selling right in front of people already searching for them. And just by nature of that relationship, just because like you as an authorized retailer, even if your store's only been around for a month, because you have a relationship where you're allowed to sell this brand's products that's been around for 50 years, people trust you right away, which is a huge shortcut versus if you were trying to start your own brand, because then no one knows who you are, no one trusts you, and you're trying to build that up from scratch. So you get to skip all that and just sell name brand products that everyone already knows, they're familiar with, which I think is a huge advantage for anyone getting started.
Yeah, you get to leverage their existing brand name. So I've always kind of found that funny in some sense. Like a lot of these big brands rely on the retailers to sell their products, yet they're the ones who have kind of done all the brand building anyway, you know?
Yeah, I think like you made a good point. Like they rely on their resellers to do the selling, but it's like digital real estate, right? Like if they can just have their products being sold through all these retailers, they don't really have to do anything. Like they can just focus on making a really good product and focus on the distribution, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important in any physical product business is the distribution. So you can take a brand like EcoFlow, which is a solar solar kit brand. 10 years ago, no one knew what it was. Now, hundreds of thousands of people searching for it every month, and that's just because they went all in on their dealer program. So they gave their dealers good margins, 35% margins, and said, run ads to our stuff. And then they never had to really do anything on their own, but now they have this huge, well-known brand because they have this distribution system of however many retailers they have pushing their product.
I think you said a key word there, which is digital real estate, and just getting so many placements on the Google advertising network. That tends to, at least in my experience, work well for high ticket because of the nature of people actually being on Google, actively searching for products. Even if they don't yet know what brand they're looking for, they may be searching for a particular particular niche. So for example, you mentioned solar, I think we said saunas as well. So if someone was actively looking for a sauna panel, and all of a sudden on Google they see multiple retailers all selling EcoFlow, in their mind that's already some sort of social proof or recognition that this is potentially a good product, which then they begin the research phase, start working their way down that sales cycle, that sales funnel, and ultimately lead to purchase. So would you say Google is where you've found most of your success when you're selling high ticket products?
Almost all of it. And I think you said it right. Like I think with Facebook, the advantage of the Facebook video creative, for example, is you can just put a video in front of someone and you could take them from a state where they don't even know they have a problem to the video showing them they have the problem to them wanting to buy the product very quickly. With Google, if you're selling a $10,000 sauna, it's not likely you're going to pop a video in front of someone and then sell them a $10,000 sauna. So usually, like you said, there's a process. So they might, on day number one, search top saunas 2024. Then they might come across an advertorial and see Clearlight, Sunlighten, and HealthMate are the 3 best sauna brands. And they read about them. And then the next week, they might type in Clearlight Sauna. And then that's when your store pops up because you're selling Clearlight saunas. And then they might go to your website, they might look around, they might chat customer service, they might call in, and then you have that connection. And then over the buying cycle, whatever it is, we've had people on our store 10 months from when they first visit to when they buy. Sometimes it's a week, but usually it's not the first visit they're going to go buy that sauna. So I think you said it right, like especially on Google where we can target keywords rather than interests. Like on Facebook, you can target men aged 20 to 50 who like Joe Rogan. Like you can guess, but with Google, you can actually just target people who are searching for exactly what you're selling, which is unique compared to Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting in front of people that have high purchase intent, whereas I think where Meta differs is, as you know, it's more interruption-based marketing, which is why I don't think it works as well for high-ticket products, because the sales cycle is longer, it requires more nurturing. So with the benefit you have on Google is being able to sell or list a product and get it in front of someone who's actively looking for that product anyway. Or like you said, maybe they're a little bit further up the funnel looking for best saunas of 2024, but they're going to slowly work their way down that funnel and then end up purchasing the product. So maybe we could talk a little bit about actually what that initial phase looks like in setting up a high ticket dropshipping store, because again, not to keep relating it back to the China model, but in some senses, I would say there are similarities. And I just want to kind of break down that wall of people maybe not understanding how to get into high ticket dropshipping, because everyone knows when it comes to Chinese, okay, you need to try and source a product. Is there a risk involved? Is this supplier legit? Is the quality of the product good? Whereas the difference you have with working with qualified brands already is that you know there's some social proof there. They've already got a brand name and things like that. But the actual process of reaching out to the supplier, I don't think is all that different. You obviously need to have a store or some sort of business set up to be trustworthy in the eyes of the supplier and for them to allow you to sell their product. But the actual process of reaching out to the supplier, could you maybe explain that for people?
Yeah, so it's really quite simple. So if I was selling saunas, for example, or massage chairs, I could type in on Google top massage chair brands located in the USA. Or I could find other massage chair stores selling those brands. And then essentially you just want to come up with a list of all the brands in your space. So we actually built a software last year called Supplier HQ that we have kind of all that research done. But now people can go find those brands and then essentially just want to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm Brook, I set up a store, I'm the founder and CEO of XYZ store. We're reaching out to brands in the space. We think you'd be a great fit because of personalized point that you've taken off their website, number one, about their brand. Can you let me know how to become an authorized retailer? And it's really just that simple. You will have to follow up a few times. If you don't get a response on email, maybe you have to pick up the phone and try and call someone. But if you just stay, I would say, somewhat persistent, every person I've ever seen who actually shows some level of persistence ends up closing suppliers in their space. And if you start with a product and you can only close a few, you can add another product to your store. So that's why I think it's usually good to have a little bit, rather than just calling your store massagechairs.com, where you could potentially reach out to all the massage chair suppliers and close 3. Maybe it's better to have wellnessequipment.com, where if you go through the massage chair suppliers and you don't get as many as you want, you can sell workout equipment. You can sell saunas on your wellness-focused store and kind of have an endless amount of suppliers to reach out to, because every supplier ultimately is its own separate income stream. So every time you add a new supplier, like if this supplier A is doing $20,000 per month for you, if you can get another one, supplier B doing another 20 or 30, that's just how you grow your store, is more high-quality suppliers.